I'd like to introduce on stage Mridul Sharma. Mridul is the head of solution delivery at IndusInd Bank, and he's responsible for the bank-wide technology interface for consumer business. He leads a team that works with the business operations and IT, so spanning the whole enterprise, to define, develop, and test and deploy solutions. All right. I think before joining IndusInd Bank, Madhu was also associate director at credit risk at Barclays Bank. Barclays Bank. Sorry about the pronunciation. And he's had a long time experience in insurance and Tata, AIG, General Insurance, ABM AMRO, and Bank of America. So let's give Madhu a warm welcome.
Thank you very much. You read it out. Your rule was not to read it out. So, anyways, yeah. Thank you so much. The purpose of me coming here today and sharing it, it's not the time period or the amount of partnership that we have with Aspect. Some of you may be doing a bigger business with Aspect today and may have, I would say, a greater partnership and the usage of the product than us. My purpose today is to share a few of our experiences, and I have 3 objectives which I can share. One is my own experiences with, I would say, multinational solutions, organizations, and how all of it culminates, and some of it can be helpful to Aspect and some of it can be helpful to us customers of Aspect. The second part is about with transformation, okay, and that is what brings me here as part of IndusInd Bank. And third thing is about tools and technologies which help that transformation. So that's broadly what I want to do, and definitely we'll talk of some bit of Aspects, tools and technologies as we go along. That is broadly. So first part about transformation, what I want to talk about is example of what we have been able to do in the last 3 to 4 years as IndusInd story. Then the needs for changes, and a lot of changes have to be done to do that transformation. Then when tools and technologies come, where does the Aspect decision come? And then basically, on Aspect, what we have been able to do and what is our roadmap on that. So that's broadly what it is. Now, I stand here as part of IndusInd Bank. Let me ask a question, okay? Today, or say 3 years back, how many of you would have heard of or experienced IndusInd Bank? Can I have a raise of hands? Very few, so very few, I would say, if I look at not more than 10 to 20%. Now, this was the scenario, I would say, as of 2008. Today, maybe I have these many hands. That time, I would have got none, maybe, because IndusInd Bank, though has been around since 1994, it was not as much into the space, because had I asked about an ICICI or HDFC Bank, I would have got 80% hands up here. So that was the scenario. And with that scenario, as has been happening with a lot of private sector banks, Bank of Punjab, Centurion Bank, Bank of Rajasthan, and various other banks, either they were made to merge or to get sold out or whatever. And maybe it could have been a similar fate with IndusInd Bank as well. But what did happen because of global scenarios changing and some people being available, 2008 a management change happened, right? And what we see here is I would say over 18 years. So 1994 is when it was it was quite old that way, as old as how ICICI and HDFC has been in India, but it has not been there in the real sense that way. So if you look at this thing, 1994, it started off with around 100 crores of capital. The promoters were the Hindujas, which is Ashok Leyland Group, and it was brought in, and I still don't have the answer, because now we are talking of bank licenses getting liberalized, right? And a lot of corporate houses getting it, and nobody has it today. But how did IndusInd Bank get it at that point in time? I also don't have the answer, but because even Tatas don't have it right today. But IndusInd Bank got it at that point in time. But even I would say Hindujas would not have used it as much, okay, for their own business in the country, because their main objective was to fund in non-resident Indian investments into the country for the development of the country. That was the overall mood they had in mind. Then going up, 2002, 2005, a lot of stuff kept happening, right? Capital came in, there were some tie-ups, but it was 2008 when this change happened. So a lot of guys, and it is my earlier organization as well. So ABN AMRO Bank, where they were going through those crises and a lot of sell and sell happening. RBS was acquiring the portfolio in India, and somewhere some deal was struck, and country management of a sizable mass of people moved in from even Amro Bank to IndusInd Bank, right from the MD down to business heads. And it's a mixed team. It's not that everybody is new. There's the old IndusInd Bank team, and a few people came in. And if we look at the situation today, it's a mixed organization, because as I will share a slide later, we have grown many-fold. So today there'll be as many ICICIs to HDFC Bank, guys, even I would say other financial services, even retail and manufacturing guys who would have joined IndusInd Bank in the long run. So it's a mixed organization. So what I'm going to talk here about is, I would say around end 2008 to what we are standing today. So that's the period where a lot of transformation has happened, which is very recent in the last, out of the 18-year history, we are talking of 19 years, we are talking of the last 4 years. Okay. Moving ahead, now let's see what that transformation has done. So, if you look at the graph out here, we are looking, so let's look at this figure. It is in millions. If I convert that into crores, so financial year 08 is a 75 crores profit. So net profit is 75 crores, and it grew in financial year 12 to 800 crores. Okay, and hopefully this was half year figures. The target is to cross 1,000 crores net, end of this year. And so that's the growth. And I think the good part being a listed company is it also reflects. So from a 40 rupees per share price in 2008, we touched 440 recently. So had you bought that share, your money would have grown 10 times in that period. So that is, it is doing something, and its effect getting seen out. Now this is something which is going to be played out in the country very soon. A lot of experiments have happened of that kind, and a lot of experiments once the new licenses come in. But in what direction they go, because when this was being charted out in 2008, and the management team was asked to put out a vision, they were also shooting in the dark, right? Because there is an organization which has been there. It's not that you are starting from scratch, and you have to build out a vision into the future. So they, the first plan that they put out was to focus on the, I would say, 3 vectors of productivity, profitability, and efficiency. So they said at that point in time that in 3 years' time, we will be among the top 3 in the country on these 3 vectors. So they talked at a 3-3-3 plan. Okay. Now that plan, again, a lot of skepticism, MNC bankers coming into Indian bank, and cost structures will be destroyed, and whether this experiment will work out, because we also have recent examples of these experiments not working out in some other banks. But the good part is that the rocket did take off, and it escaped the escape velocity. So it was in orbit. So by 9, 10, and 11, the orbit was achieved, so we were in space. And what we are working on now is scale. So if you look at next slide, from distribution network of 180, and you see there's nothing added. In the first 2 years, nothing added at all, and a marginal addition in the 3rd year, because we were not talking of scale. We were just talking of putting the people, process, technology, and the transformation in place at that point in time. And then going on further is where you see the scale now coming in, 450 plus as of now, and going up to around 750 by next year. So 750 network becomes a big network, and you have now across the country, every state capital, every state covered, unitary covered, and along with that, you look at 800 network here, it will also increase by another 50%. So, so why I'm giving you this context, it's not about IndusInd Bank, is that when we are going to talk of the tools and technologies and the transformation, is that how we use that to transform the organization. Because finally, end of the day, everybody is judged by the financial performance, and definitely the customer experience and engagement that you put out, right? So that is the context why I put all this together, not to market IndusInd Bank here. Okay. Now, what I'm sharing with you is that when we are doing this transformation in the first 3 years about people, process, and technology, and that is where Aspect comes in and many other solutions and services come in, we said that we will be technology-centered or technology-backed, customer-centric bank. Okay. So we want to create a customer experience which is technology-backed and something which is very personal to the customer. So a few examples in this regard. For example, IndusInd Bank was somewhere between a public sector and a private bank. So there were many practices. For example, most people were most customers were very comfortable coming into the branch, talking to the branch manager, as it happens in public sector banks, having those personal relationships, okay? Versus, few new age generation banks when you don't even have the branch numbers on the website, right? You have to call the contact center, where the impersonality comes in, right? There's always a machine you're talking to, somebody somewhere you're talking to. So for example, we didn't cut that out. We said that if the person wants to speak to the branch manager, let it be, okay? But at the same time, on the side, you definitely invest in technology. You put in what is best in breed in everything. And slowly and gradually it improves, it increases. And today, for example, on the contact center, the call volume that we have today has grown many folds without us deliberately cutting off people and pushing people on that side. So talking quickly of some things which have been really appreciated, across the industry, many awards internationally, nationally. These are few of the innovations, because time and again, at least once a year or 2 innovations a year, we have been doing that to keep people engaged. So, we talked of innovation, what Chetan also talked about today is that you have to keep innovating, because if you don't innovate, you die. So, what are a few things out here? I'll quickly run through them. Quick redeem. Credit cards, you get reward points. Anybody who's in, credit card or any reward industry, the main metric is what is the utilization of those reward. How many people really redeem them? Because if people are not redeeming it, they are not seeing the value of it. So quick redeem is about that as soon as you have a transaction, you get a message back saying that on this transaction you have these many reward points, revert with a yes, and we will encash it immediately. So if you revert back, it's a very simple thing. It immediately gets credited to your account. Cash on mobile, many people have done it in different way, but it is a service of transferring money to any individual so that that person can walk into any of the IndusInd Bank ATMs and without a card withdraw that money. So you basically just send a money to a mobile number, and there are 2 pins that are sent, one by you, one by the system to that person, and by putting in that mobile number and these 2 pins and the amount that has been sent to you, the money just comes out of the ATM. So that's cash on mobile. Direct connect, I will talk in the end. Choice money ATMs we did is that you can choose the currency that you want to withdraw from the ATM. 100 notes, 500 rupees note, 1000 rupee notes, what combination you want. Okay, because we didn't see anybody doing it, nationally or internationally. You have that standard algorithm, last 5 notes of the lower denomination and rest of them with the higher denomination. And people, again, other competitors came out with 40% faster and all. But that didn't see as much of a usage. But this has been well received because you can really choose what you want to do. Check on check, all checks that you write to your, all the checks that you issue to your, wherever, all they get printed into the statement of account. So you don't have to keep stubs of it, you don't have to keep record of it. So for each check that you pay on your statement, an image of that will get printed. And even on net banking, you can click on that check number and that image will be fetched. So this is what done on check on check. Open 365 days, many people have done, but again for us was that some of the branches we had to have them open all 365 days. Coming to the direct connect thing, so I'll first ask him to just play a video and then I'll talk about it.
Hello?
Welcome to phone banking.
Call kabaddi,
Press 1 for English. हिंदी के लिए 2 दबाएं.
call kabaddi, 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 call kabaddi. अपने ही बैंक से बात करना कबड्डी का खेल क्यों हो? इंडसइंड बैंक लेकर आए डायरेक्ट कनेक्ट सर्विस. डायरेक्टली बात करें अपने फोन बैंकिंग एग्जीक्यूटिव से तुरंत.
Hello, Mr. Shekhar. How can I help you?
IndusInd Bank, आपने चाहा, हमने किया.
So basically, the need that we felt was that when you come into a contact center to get yourself recognized, we have done, being technology people, you do a lot of innovations. You don't have to call it out, put in your debit card number and your PIN and you identify it, put in your account number, okay, and you have to select stuff. Okay, 1 for credit cards, 2 for current account, 3 for saving accounts, all that stuff. So we said that why can't we recognize if the number, the mobile number or whichever number the customer has registered with us, customer is coming from the same number and you have the CLI, why can't we recognize the customer? So, it could be that somebody else is calling from the same number, but you can verify. So what we did, and that is where aspect also came in, and with other benefits also we envisaged that we have to move, is that this is one of the innovations that we brought on the table, is that the database from the CRM with the registered numbers come into, and when the call comes in, not only the customer is recognized,